So Nick, we've been doing a bunch of episodes in this series about land ownership, buying and selling land, and I want to throw one to you about what you've learned that benefits you as a realtor from owning land.
Okay.
Because I feel like you're only good at something, really good at something, if you've done it. You know, like those who, don't know teach or whatever. So you need to be the guy who knows, right?
Right.
So tell me a little bit about that, like what you've learned over the years.
Yeah, I think buying and selling land myself. So before I even started doing this full time, that's how we got into it. My wife and I were trying to acquire property and ultimately own land. And so through those experiences, I can help explain how to get some of those things done. You know, we've talked about different things from financing to 1031 exchanges.
Right.
And having personally done that, I can share how it worked for me, and I think that gives some credit to it.
Yeah, and I've owned a fair number of different recreational tracts over the years that I used, as a stepping stone to acquire my dream farm. So I dealt with a lot of different hometown realtors, before the big nationals kind of stepped into that arena. And there was so many of them that would try to sell me hunting land that didn't know the first thing about the properties or anything to do with recreational land. They sold a few houses here and there or whatever, and they would tell me some stuff, and like, I might as well have, the town drunk walking around with me, as you.
Yeah.
Because you're creating zero value.
Right.
You have the listing and that's it. As far as like, how can you help me to make this buying decision? It's you have nothing to offer. And that's unfortunate because, that's changed, but that was really common. And so I know how bad it can be if you're dealing with people who just don't know anything about it.
Yeah, and I think that there is, obviously knowing how to get it done and doing it yourself, adds value instantly, right? By being able to say who you talk to from a banking perspective, what you should expect in those conversations and how to navigate that's an important part. But getting down to the land itself, I can at least give you some validated thoughts on what I would do and what I have done.
Or even from your experience, what opportunities exist on this property. Like you can say, hey, I understand recreational land well enough to know that there's a really cool opportunity here.
Yes.
Like if you create a little food plot back in the timber here, that'd be awesome. And they're like, yeah, those hometown realtors didn't have that. They're just like, oh yeah, well, this is for sale.
Yeah.
So having some expertise, you don't gain that expertise by,
Talking about it.
Right. You
Yeah.
gain it by doing it because you gotta have some skin in the game before those lessons really, hold.
Yeah.
And so that's what I felt like, is you could tell when you were working with realtors who really understood the nuances of what they were selling, versus just having a listing.
You bet. And I think that's what's really unique about the team that High Point has formed is they all are very passionate about land because not only, do they love it themselves, they're passionate about owning it. I think, like I said earlier, you fall in love with every piece of land that you walk on. It's just truly how it is. And so I think knowing what to expect in buying land because you've done it is important. I think that having an opinion, whether it's right or wrong, on what you would do with the property adds a lot of value. And then also at the end of the day, when I'm trying to sell somebody something, I'm working for a seller to start with and then working for a buyer after that, if we're working on both sides. But I can honestly say I've done all of this with my money.
Right.
My family depends on our investment in land, and we believe in that with our whole heart,
right.
and have actually, walked the walk, per se, versus just talk about it. So I think
that's the main thing.
Yeah.
The main takeaway is that, it's best to work with realtors who have done it, because it's different to have a academic perspective on it. It's another thing to be out there with your own money in the game, trying to make it all work where, your life and death depends on it. Not
Absolutely.
just, something you read in a book.
Yes.
So, No, I think that's really cool, Nick, and no, I appreciate all the perspective that you've brought to these discussions. It's been a real pleasure working with you guys at High Point, and just the enjoyment of talking about land and how to buy it, and once in a while how to sell it, but hopefully never sell it, right?
Yes.
And how to make the most of it when you do own it. Yeah, it's been really cool. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on this one? Otherwise, we wrap a bow on it.
No, I think that about covers it. We greatly appreciate your experience and everything you've added to this series and our relationship, and it's just been a great all-around opportunity to work together.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
You bet.